And we're back here. Main event, second hour, Thursdays. Means this guy joins us, our favorite Uncle Lou. Hey, Uncle Lou, looking a little see-through there.
Well, I was going to say, I wore I thought I have an aqua shirt on.
I know.
So whatever. I love the brick wall. So
aqua has a little bit of green in it, obviously, but that's what we just learned.
I screwed up. So anyway,
nobody would have noticed if you didn't point it out.
Hi, it's Thursday. I'm happy to be here. We're entering what I consider to be close to the dog days. After when we get to Monday, we'll be in the dog days. So I'm happy we're here, and I'm I got all kinds of stuff to share with you.
Yeah, let's first, just tell everybody what you do, where you're at, where they can reach you, your podcasts out there, just for people interested, if they not just gambling, but just want some additional information to go into a party this weekend and you want to look smart. Give you some info here to give you some behind the scenes stuff and in-depth stuff here.
Yeah,
Uncle Lou.
Steve's being nice. Really, the net that I throw, it isn't outside of people that are going to gamble on sports. That's what I do. That's what Gamblu.com is. And so if you're looking for opinions on sports betting, you can get them here. And they're not opinions that you have to take. You can consider them. Or, as Aristotle says, it's the mark of an educated mind to be able to listen to a thought and yet not accept it. And so you can listen to what I have to say. I take controversial positions as much as I can, and I look at it simply from a bottom line dollars and cents aspect. Usually there's no fandom here. Anyway, Lou Finicaro's my name. I have a webpage, Gamblu.com. You can find everything about me there. The gambling part is about 90% of the webpage. 10% of the webpage is about 90% of life, and that's the far right button up there, the San Xavier Del Bach Mission. And, of course, here today on Holy Thursday, what an appropriate time to mention the oldest mission in the United States is located just south of Tucson here in Arizona. They do great work. They're part of my webpage, not that I'm associated in any way, but I look up to the entity and try and direct as much attention there as I can. And every dadgum week, Steve lets me come on here and tout the mission, and I really thank him for it.
Absolutely. Like I said, this day and age when everybody needs help out there, it's even more important now to point that out. And with your givings, I know in the past, if you supported Lou and invested with him, that you put a lot of that money towards
then
that.
You
now
were
that you don't do that,
you
go that route, and that type of a thing. So so I appreciate you doing that, to be honest with you, and everything. And of course, we're right here in the middle of NHL hockey. Playoffs are about to start. We're a week and a half away, roughly, from the start of that. An interesting development has happened, Lou, and I have a question for you.
We're getting real close, and yes, let me try and answer the question.
Well, does the fact that the Vegas Knights fired Bruce Cassidy 9 games before the end of the season and brought in one of my favorite coaches for a short amount of time, he wears people down, and long term he's not the answer, but Tortellini.
John Tortorella.
Does that change?
Steve, are you hungry this morning?
I am. I'm going to blame the Sudafed that I'm on, folks, is what I'm going to blame for my allergies. But they brought him in. Does that change your opinion on a playoff run for the Golden Knights?
That's a really good question.
Because I really like him as a coach.
Yeah,
for short runs. You don't want him there for 4 or 5 years. Everybody will hate his guts.
Well,
in year 3 and
he
stuff
never
like
stays anywhere that
exactly
way.
Because of that reason.
Well, the interesting thing,
9 games, playoff run. Does that change an opinion?
Well, you mentioned that he was kind of a hard pressing, intense coach, and the team, the locker room in Las Vegas, from my resources in Vegas, feel as though they lost Cassidy because he was too intense and forward with them, and so. Usually Tortorella comes in on the heels of some guy that's a butt slapper and he's everybody's best friend. They need discipline. In this case, he's coming in, and he even complimented Cassie on the way out because he's a total pro. And he's basically, I think, acknowledging that he's just going to bring a different perspective to the locker room. So
A different
to me,
style. He's a different style coach too than Cassidy is.
not behind the glass. They're both intense and overriding.
Oh no, from that perspective,
and
the styles,
so
yeah.
and so that style, I'm interested to see what happens. But I think he's going to make it work. But really, to me, looking at Vegas now, it isn't whether Tortorella gets it done or not. It's about the players on the team, because if there was a problem in the locker room
And
now
was.
there isn't, and everybody's holding hands singing Kumbaya, then they're going to start playing better hockey. And so I'll wait to see that.
Cassidy completely lost out. All the rumors leading up to it
Yes.
was Cassidy lost the locker
Yes.
room. They weren't listening to him anymore. They were ignoring him.
Well, they
which
didn't
led
want to
other
go to
stuff.
work. When you hear
Exactly.
that, when you hear that makes it tough. So
That's the intriguing thing. Like you said, do the players all of a sudden go, all right, that nonsense is over. Let's go play.
in order for them, if that's the case, in order for them to best speak to Cassidy, they show up for Tortorella and they win the cup and they ride off, and everybody realizes in retrospect what the problem is. If nothing changes, or if not a lot changes, then I don't know what that tells you.
No, tells you they got the wrong players in that
It
locker
tells
room.
you that, really, it would tell me that since the inception of that team, that ownership group has been unbelievably aggressive in their moves, and it tells me they're still aggressive and hungry to win. That's what that would tell me.
That's what that told me with that that coaching move told me. And
Yes.
they're just never satisfied. You stumble and they do not have a problem making a change to try to improve the team, which is rare in sports these days. Most people hang on to coaches or players too long before they get rid of them, and the Knights aren't that way. So I think it's a nice, refreshing change from them out. They're still third in the Pacific right now. Looks like the Utah Mammoth are going to make the playoffs here. They're 82 points. The Kings back into that second wild card spot. Last week they were 3 teams out here. Now they passed San Jose Sharks and Nashville Predators. Now they're 1 point up on them. The Jets this is how close it is for that last playoff spot. Kraken are at 75. Well, Seattle's at 74. Kraken at 75 points. Winnipeg Jets at 76. Nashville and San Jose at 77 points. Kings are at 78. So you have 6 teams battling it out there for that final wildcard spot in the West from that side. But the thing I want to bring up to you here, Colorado Avalanche, 108 points in the West here. Dallas Stars, 100 as well. Minnesota, 94. Minnesota's kind of come back a little bit. Colorado's number, they've been the best team all preseason. You're not high on Dallas. I'm not high on Dallas for their goaltending. Come the playoff time, looking pretty good here going into the playoffs momentum-wise.
Who?
Dallas. They're playing well.
Well, so and as they have the last 4 years in a row, so that really doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't force me to look at them any different. They still have to play. While most people are, and I am, looking at the bottom of those standings to see which wild card teams can play good at the end and wiggle their way in there. I'm looking at the top of the standings and seeing which teams are trying still to earn first place, like in the East Division or
we're talking about them in a minute. That's a battle.
Or in the West, what they're doing, because these are 2 completely different seasons. Just because the Minnesota Wild's got a 3 next to their name in that division, don't think for a minute that they're not ripe to upset some apple carts in this conference. So I look at it from the angle of, in 2 weeks, they're going to give me pricing on teams. I'm going to be able to take a team plus 1.5 games in a 7-game series, and that adds a lot of complexity to a nice underdog that can catch a game and a half. And all they got to do is make it a 7-game series, and you're the winner automatically. Now, easier said than done, but there's a lot of ways to play this. I'm trying to prepare myself for a playoff run.
In the East, you brought it up. I mean, Buffalo Sabres have woken up. They've been playing really well. They hit the 100-point mark. But so does the Carolina Hurricanes. 100 points here. They've been on fire here lately as well. They're number 1 in the Metropolitan. 100 points for them. for them. Sabres at 100 points. The Tampa Bay Lightning at 98 points right now. Montreal Canadiens 96 points. So that Atlantic Division's a barn burner there. Boston Bruins with their 94 points, probably going to make that first wild card spot. But then you got Columbus in that second spot right now, but Ottawa, Detroit,
And 5 teams.
Philadelphia, Capitals. Capitals and Philly are 85 points for Capitals, 86 for Flyers. Detroit, Ottawa, and Columbus for that last spot, all three at 88 points right now for them. We're talking again, it's like you said, pay attention to the top ones. But one thing I love about this playoff chase is 5 teams battling for basically one spot here in the playoffs. I think that's part of the fun of it as well.
I would also say that if those are the teams that are basically experiencing playoff hockey now, even though the rules are not playoff hockey, their temperament and their legs and the speed of the game that they're dealing with now to get in will be not much different than playoff hockey, because they're playing playoff hockey to get to the playoffs. Now, you take a nice ripe team, fat cats don't hunt team like somebody on the top of a division.
Maybe Pittsburgh I'll throw into that type of a category.
That could be ripe. I don't know. That's your position. But they're there. We got to find them. But I'm not trying to look for them 2 weeks before the playoffs. So, but I will say that I'm going to be looking at some surprises, especially as wide open as everything is. Outside of, if you take Tampa and Colorado away from it, you got a wide open tournament.
Yeah, and they're very similar teams for the playoffs. This playoffs is going to be fun. And like you said, you get playoff hockey before the playoffs when you have 4 or 5 teams battling for 1 or 2 spots, because they all have to perform.
Those are the games you want to be. Those are the games you want to be watching on TV if you want to watch some, good frantic hockey. And then if it goes, if it ends in regulation, then you just turn it off, because it doesn't matter what happens after that.
Well, it gets to that 3-on-3 and all of that stuff.
That's Mickey Mouse. That's not what they do in the second season, which is why it's such a different game.
Absolutely. So, and then there's college baseball undergoing. We're in the middle of conference play. Just to update everybody, Arizona State's still ranked. They lost a couple there. They're still ranked at 25th spot right now, 28 record for them.
Which is outstanding.
Their question mark was pitching, and their pitching has been good. And they won a lot of games with their star player
25th
missing.
ranked in the country.
28 on the season right now. They're setting themselves up. They could get a regional here if they continue the way they're going. But the guys that dropped out, NC State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Notre Dame dropped out of the rankings this time. Mainly Tennessee and Ole Miss, SEC teams, which are dominant. They're dominant in the top part of this as well. And Tennessee's one I was kind of shocked to see.
Well, they just lost Vitello, the coach, to San Fran, so that doesn't surprise me. Mississippi, preseason touted team. Maybe that's a little surprising. I wouldn't count them out yet. SEC teams, they can go through. I've seen Florida go through and be like 13 and 14 in the SEC and win the College World Series. Why? Because they're playing SEC teams in conference play every single weekend, which is what we're about ready to get into if we're not already into that. So college baseball is great to me. How real is UCLA? Can they continue to maintain their momentum, stay in the top 10, and they've been like 1 or 2 all year long.
Yeah, they've been number 1 for like a month now.
Can they stay in the top 10 and go all the way through a regional? I will say this: if they get the home position in regionals out here in California, boy, that would really behoove them. They'll be a tough team to beat. They're very well rounded and solid, but they haven't been playing the SEC or ACC schedule every single week in and week out.
Yeah, and that's the issue that they have. But here, I'm going to give you the top 10 here because, you focus a lot on, rightfully so, SEC baseball, ACC baseball. I'm going to give you the top 10. UCLA, Texas, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida State, Southern Miss, Oregon State, and then Virginia are the top 10. A lot of
so
ACC teams in there, not as many SEC
Coastal
teams.
and OSU are the only ones that bomb that, and we have OSU in the future. If you go to the Gamblu webpage, I made a note
The blog
on that. I made the note of which ones I have. UCLA 12-1, North Carolina 22-1. Are they even in the top?
North Carolina, no, they fell down
Yep.
there. Oh, North Carolina, I'm sorry, is 6th.
6.
I was
Not
thinking
too shabby. Texas right there.
Number 2.
OSU 30-1. They're there. Here's my skunks. Arkansas, who usually struggles in the SEC, 18-1,
right now, yeah.
and LSU at 10-1, which may be a miss. We'll see.
They've been out of the top 25 for several weeks now.
Well, I'm going to
LSU,
rattle
so-
off 6 of them. I mean, I'm bound
Well,
to.
we're only going to focus on the bad ones, Lou.
No, yeah, exactly. Anyway, college baseball, sensational. Hockey, getting right into it. And we're going to have early on in those playoffs 4 games, 2 at like 4, 2 at like 7.
That's what I love about it.
Overtime, white knuckle intensity. Teams that hate each other, they've set the playoffs up now that teams that know each other really well, like Dallas and Minnesota, now that we're going to have a 7-game series in the playoffs again. I mean, by game 3 or 4, the hockey's going to be so fantastic. It's going to be so tight, and the measure of difference in these teams so slight analytically that a lot can happen. So it's going to be a tremendous tournament. I also want to say, a year ago in this tournament, I think I laid, because I just gave my webpage designer all my updates, I laid about an 11-unit loss on the NHL playoffs last year. I want to disclose that because just like a fighter that lost their last fight, normally if they've got any gumption to them, they've been in the gym doing the right things to bounce back from that loss. And I'm not going to make any proclamations here, but I will disclose that I'm on the bounce, and we'll see what kind of result this year's hockey brings, because I'll be sharing it here and it'll be on the webpage.
Yep, absolutely, because everything now is free on the website.
Oh, that's right.
Gamblu.com on X
to...
as well. And also you can find your podcast, The Sneak Teep, and the, of course, About Business on Friday, About Business after the weigh-ins as well. And if you listened to the Sneak Teep last week, you gave a couple nuggets that ended up working out during the fight.
Yes.
And then even on About Business
and
as
this
well.
one, this past one, I made what I think might be the only release I make on the whole card. I may make one more.
For this weekend's fighting.
Yes,
well,
this weekend card a little different, but we're going to get to that.
Absolutely. So, anything else you want to add? Oh, college basketball. I knew there was something I was forgetting about.
Oh yes,
your
thank
Arizona
you.
Wildcats. Your Final
so,
Four.
And I'm perspective from a fan, and actually I'm not a basketball fan, but I like the college basketball this time of year. And so Michigan, Arizona. I'm a U of A alum. I have no clue what's going to happen from a basketball sense. I see the line is Michigan 1.5. I got no clue there. I do know that at this juncture that I can take a step away from what I do and be a fan of my team, the U of A, and I'm going to pull for them. The last time they were at a final game of a Final Four, they played Duke in the finals in Minneapolis in 2001. I was at that game. So I will be pulling for U of A in that game, but here's my gamble on this thing, and it's this. I think that Illinois is getting completely overlooked by everyone because of the stories around them, which I think is a really good thing. And Connecticut coming in off of that win, I think that's going to be a hard effort to duplicate. We'll see. But I see Illinois being able to get to the final, and then they're going to play one of two teams that all they've heard for the whole week that they've been off is that this is the championship game. I believe that the winner of Michigan and Arizona leaves it out on the court so much on Saturday that they got nothing left for Illinois on Monday. Really? And I'm going to tell you, Illinois at 4-1 is, I haven't made that bet yet, but that's the bet I'm going to make. I think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, that's, you know what, you bring up a good point on that Connecticut game is how do they recover from that, just that unbelievable emotional win. I know it's a week later.
Well, the other
but still.
excuse me, Steve. The other thought process is, hey, we got it going. We make that. This is destiny. That's what a lot are thinking too.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I mean, Michigan, Arizona. I've never. It's been rare. I've looked so much forward to a college basketball game as much as I am this game coming up on Saturday.
Do you got any clue on what's going to happen?
No clue. I'm not going to bet it. I'm not going to do anything.
You're going to enjoy it.
I have Arizona making the final, but I didn't think Michigan would be there. But watching Michigan in this tournament, they're equally matched. They both have the length that Arizona can tend to dominate with. They have the length. They both can shoot outside. Michigan can hit more threes. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. I think, you might see Mevin flows where somebody goes up by 7, but there'll be a run afterwards. I think defense might be what wins this game for one of these teams. No clue, Lou. No clue at all what's going to happen.
And what time is it on Saturday? Is that like 4?
It is 5. I want to say 5:30, but 5:49 on Saturday.
So 10 to 6, the second game. Oh, rightfully so. That thing's going to I bet that breaks some serious NCAA records. That's going to be a hugely tuned in.
I mean, even now the market has it Michigan favored 1.5.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it broke. It hasn't moved much,
Okay.
and everybody I talk to, one guy likes Michigan because they're tough under the glass.
Yeah.
The other one likes them because they can shoot threes. The other one likes Arizona because they're overly athletic. And so here's what I know.
Knows.
No one knows the dadgum thing.
Anybody that tells you they know what's going to happen in this
They're
game
full
is
of
lying to you.
full of manure. But I do see a path for Illinois to pull the rug out on this whole tournament based on my.
See, Lou, that's why we got you here, man. Because I was like, Illinois doesn't deserve to be here with these other 3 teams.
They're just hiding in the shadows, and that
you're
coach is
right.
an old salty dog.
I'm going to have to think about that, especially 4-1. It doesn't hurt to throw a little down
How
on
do you
them
go
for
wrong
that
on
reason.
that, especially if they win this game and
But-
they're favored?
I haven't even thought about the Illinois Connecticut game. We're going to talk. Me and Dale will talk about that tomorrow. But I haven't even considered that game at all, just because I'm so excited for this Michigan.
Oh,
Arizona
sure.
game.
Well, it's thrown.
It's almost like that game to me. I don't care who wins that game. Not necessarily because I think they lose the championship, just because that game is going to be overshadowed by what I think we're going to get. Now, saying that, we're going to get a 20-point blowout or something.
No, I hope we don't. I want a barn burner. And
halfway through the first quarter, we're all going.
I don't want
Never
no one
mind."
hurt. I don't want any fights. I want a good, tough game that one team wins over another. And let's
I do give Michigan the edge. If you were to ask me, I do give Michigan the edge because of the 3-point shooting. Because if they get hot from 3, Arizona cannot get hot from 3. They haven't all year at least. They don't like to shoot threes. So if you get hot from 3, you obviously score more points with 3 points than 2 points. And that could kind of be the difference toward the end of the game, if I had a guess on that. But the points in the paint, I think, are just going to be just a hard-fought battle.
You got to if you're getting 3'd, you got to make a bunch of 2s. And the best way to do that's if it's a layup. Issue is Michigan's big and strong on the glass too, so it's going to be a.
You got to factor in too.
Who's the older team, the more experienced team?
Michigan.
Of course, that's another.
And I would also hope this doesn't happen, but it's something I'm considering. How do the refs call this game? Because if you get foul trouble on either Michigan or Arizona or both of their big guys underneath, that's going to change the perplexity of this game in ways you're not even exaggerating. You can't even think of right now.
Yes, but if you're watching the game and you're doing what the very few sharp people are doing, and that's betting it live, you can wait till Arizona gets a 6-point lead and you can catch Michigan plus 5 points and you bet that. And then you wait and then you watch them play tennis. Oh, all of a sudden Michigan's up 6 and Arizona's getting 5. Now you bet that. Now you got each team plus 5. All you're rooting for now is 3-point game, right? I mean, so there's a lot of ways to attack this thing. It's how hard do you want to work at? You want to sit at a computer with a couple of sites ready watching this game so that you can pounce at the right time. Maybe not a lot of people want to work like that.
No, I'm literally going to sit back, put my feet up, and enjoy this basketball
I do it
game.
all football season, and so I'm going to let it go in basketball.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one that it's like nothing else matters for that time
For
frame.
that, what is that,
I'm
a
looking forward
2-hour
to it.
period,
Roughly
2.5
about 2.5,
hours?
3 hours, yeah.
No overtime. Don't give me no overtime. I don't need no heartache.
Yeah, I know. The people that have watched this show long enough knows my disdain for overtime anything.
In sports world, we have a saying, and it's overtime, the place underdogs go to die. Because
that's true.
your team's getting 8, you send it to overtime, they lose 16. It's like, oh my God, you want to kill somebody. I mean, it happens all the time. So just remember that saying.
I'm actually going to remember that saying there as well.
In my world, it's true as blue.
Anything else on any sport besides
No,
UFC?
hell, I'm having a ball talking about everything.
Yeah, well, let's take our break then. Come back, talk about last week's UFC card. Dare I say it?
Violence.
Best one of the year.
Yeah, there's some violence.
It wasn't even close.
Well, sure.
We'll talk about that. Of course, look ahead to this week as well. Come on back with Uncle Lou here on Thursday. And we're back here. Main event on Thursdays with Uncle Lou. I failed to ask you. Of course, day game Diamondbacks yesterday. Pitching matchup. I loved it yesterday. I couldn't get enough of that game. You were there. How was it?
For a long time, I've been a huge baseball fan, a Major League Baseball fan. If I could choose to go to a ball game, it would basically be the game that I was at yesterday, where I can see that kind of a 1-0 game. 2-1 I'll take, but 2-1, 2-0, 1-0. That's what I want. That's what I got. It was a Chamber of Commerce day with the roof open and the windows open, breeze blowing through, a decent crowd at the ball game. Probably half, if not 55% Tiger fans. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scooball, I think he had a whole section just for his family and friends. He's from here,
and he pitched a whale of a game. Yeah. Our team, because I have the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs this year. I've announced that at the beginning of the season, so I'm all about them. And so I just want to say, good for them. Let's hope they can start good. I like them today against Atlanta. More importantly, I went with a bunch of guys from Vegas that were in town, and they are in my business, and we're talking. And when I brought up Lovello, every single one of those sons of so-and-sos completely agreed with my take that the guy is salty as he can be. And Derek Hall, who kept him when others were calling for his head. It was a genius move.
Lou, you don't have to point. Everybody knows you're talking about me.
It was a genius move. And I think this year, this coach and this team, to me, this team, again, depending what happens, and you called it a week ago with the bullpen, right now looks like they can put some runs up, so we'll see. It's too early to make any.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I told you before, I don't hate Lovello. It's just I don't know if he's the guy that could get you over the top consistently. And there's been a lot of
Thank you, because he was only at the World Series 2 years ago.
And that's what everybody points. 3 years ago now, I want to point out. But you can't ignore the last 2 years. It's been failures of not making the playoffs when they should have. So now it comes down to the bullpen, which isn't Lovello's fault. That would be the GM not getting him the arms he needs and stuff. But I'm looking forward to this season. I do expect them to make the playoffs as well. To me, that's the bar. If they miss it, to me, that's a disappointment. And it goes to that old saying with me, Lou, is he's been here 10 years, man. You know what you got. Okay, so
that's why don't get rid of him.
You made one World Series run, but at the same time, a lot of disappointment in that time frame as well. So can you find somebody to get you over that hump more consistently? Is kind of my angle on Torey Lovello. Their decision is no, we can't find that person.
No, I'll ask Tampa. Now Tampa's not a good example. Ask Florida, ask them. Ask Washington. Ask Minnesota. Ask Oakland. They've never done it.
Exactly.
We just did it 3 years ago, and it ain't easy to do. Anyway, you're guarded, and you need to be. You're a fan. Yeah. I'm an opinion maker, and I'm sold on that aspect of the team. Now, bullpen and base stealing and GM, that's other stuff that I'll have to take into consideration as the season goes on. But I want to get to UFC as well.
I keep an open mind on that, but I ebb and flow on my feelings.
We got 155 games yet to talk about.
Hey, I got 100 and whatever it is, and I live and die with every game, and my opinions they change.
Good.
Right? So, hey, UFC last weekend from Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. Man, this was an event where if you didn't sit down for a beginning of a fight and you got distracted for a little bit, you missed a lot of these fights because they were quick, they were fast, and what I mean by that is you couldn't come in and be like, oh, I'll tune in the second round of this fight. I'll come back in the second round because they were done early here as well. I mean, it started with the prelims as well. We had a couple decisions right off the bat. And then you got to the Bruno Lopez and Navajo Sterling fight, second round KO here. My main thing on this is the loser, Bruno Lopez. There, your thoughts on him after that fight against Sterling?
I mean, he was there to get knocked out.
Yeah, and it happened. Which brings me to my next thing here, but he made it to the second round, so I was wondering if you were impressed by that. Because everybody was expecting it to happen.
No, because in his next fight, he'll be there to get knocked out.
Again as well. So, okay. So Sterling going to the second round didn't change your opinion on him by taking that long to do so when it was expected sooner?
Well, there was pressure on him because he hasn't made a finish in the UFC yet. And so it's hard to do. I'm going to go out and finish this guy, and the other guy is a tough, durable guy that's in the UFC. You don't get in the UFC if you're not tough, durable, and world class. So even though, Bruno Lopez maybe is on the lower rungs of the UFC, the dude's a world class fighter. You don't want him.
Okay.
So Sterling's a fade depending on if they can give him somebody that's too much of a step up. Will they do that? Maybe not. If they want to protect future shows in Australia by using him, they'll prop him up against some guy that's a good matchup for him. You have to watch that.
That's the question. I just came out of that fight, just kind of thinking, from your perspective on that, kind of wondering what that was, because to me, it was just a fight we expected, but I did see a lot of people complain that it took Sterling so long to get that done.
Those are fans that want it immediately, and
I know. Hey, what do you mean one punch and not out? What the heck's wrong with you? Hey, we had two women fight in this fight. We're going to bring up. I got to give Casey O'Neill and Fernandez here first round KO here in this one. So I mean, there's no way to put it without sounding derogatory, and I don't mean to. But women fighters coming in and getting a knockout here in round one, it's not something we see every day.
I don't know what's controversial about that. That's numerically accurate.
Yes,
It's dogma.
With it.
What's more important is O'Neill had been off for a while, some pressure. She's the daughter of a mixed martial artist. She really has it in her blood, and she was in against a girl, been more active, a little more physical, and had some power in her hands. If anyone told me a week ago when we were here one was going to knock the other out, I'd say, well, maybe Fernandez catches up with her then. But O'Neill looked fast, sharp, focused, and on. She is a follow depending on who she gets next.
Okay.
And maybe so is Fernandez, who I think it took a great effort to be able to beat that girl last week. She's a good fighter.
All right, and then Tybura, the heavyweight bout, Tybura and Fortune in this fight. Fortune got the win. Now, it went to a decision for a heavyweight fight. I think people expected a little bit more violence in this fight to happen here. But Tyrell Fortune got the win.
Got the win, beat us. I had an underdog bet on Tybura. It's the way it goes. Tybura's old and done.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Because Fortune ain't that much. He's a fade moving forward. Tybura we may not see.
That was going to be my question on Tybura, because I know you liked him last week and everything going into that fight. In this, so
he
we got
was
like
so
I said,
slow. Even in the second and third round, when the other kid was tired a little bit, he couldn't do anything.
And that's what's
so
shocking
slow.
me about these heavyweights, man. It seems like a lot of these heavyweights get to that second round and they're just
it's a thin. It's 3.5. It's 4 men deep, really, guys. That's it.
Yeah, it's almost like frustrating if there's not something happening really quick, because then it's they're just going to hug
high
each other
school
against the
slow
wall.
dance, baby. Slow dance at the
prom. Let me move to the main one here, the main fight, because we could talk all along. Kyle Nelson knocked out 24 seconds into this fight, first fight of the main event. Terrence McKinney in this lightweight bout. Your thoughts on Terrence McKinney with this quick work that he had?
Yeah, I think Kyle Nelson was covering up, and even though he covered up too long of a time, he wasn't knocked out or injured. Yeah. And you could see him telling his corner that afterwards, hey, I was just covering up. The guy was losing his mind. But the whole foundation for Nelson was to take the fight deep. But he can't be an idiot about it and force the ref to step in.
Yeah.
The ref stepped in, probably appropriately so. That's the end of the fight. Nelson, you're an idiot. You go to the end of the line. McKinney, you move on to be the UFC darling that they know that they can put on the first fight of a main card, and they're going to get something happening.
Yeah, that's my question on this fight is the ref, because there was a couple of times here as a novice to UFC, I look at the refs and I go, I either go, what took you so long to get in there? Or I go, why are you in there so fast? And this one I was kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this one, because Nelson wasn't hurt, he wasn't injured, but he wasn't also defending himself.
Yeah.
So I can understand him stepping in there. I get that, but we'll talk about the rest here obviously coming up when we get to the other women's fight here as well. Look, then the main event was a third-round knockout, a first-round knockout here with Douglas, Nico Price, and
Hedy Rosa plus the points. Figuring he's at home, he's going to really show up in front of his people, and that Douglas just folded him up. He was knocking him on his ass with jabs. I knew it was like me sitting in a little saucer in a big, huge boiling pot of water, knowing that eventually I was going to tip over.
Yeah, when jabs are knocking guys down, you got to be worried, right?
Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord.
Then we had another first-round submission here.
Price and Chiesa, and that
lost that fight.
No, I didn't make a bet on that fight, thankfully.
Oh, really? Okay.
Chiesa subbed him in one. I would have loved to have maybe thought about Price. I think he was the only way to go. I think I even tweeted something out, didn't I?
You did. Yeah, you did. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it said, but you did going into that fight, because I saw it after the fight started.
Ham sandwich or a piece of pizza or something like that.
Then the fight I really want to talk to you about is the Alexa Grasso, Macy Barber fight here.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, it was everywhere on the internet, obviously.
Oh, it was brutal.
From that most brutal, I've seen some brutal knockouts in my day. This was an unbelievably brutal one.
This was a knockout and a submission.
And one. So how did they officially rule that? I know
a knockout.
So it was a knockout. So if you had submission, you would lose that bet on that point. So my question on this is around the referee on this one. Now, I'm not saying the referee did anything wrong, but she was out before she hit the ground, I felt. And then the submission side came. The ref got in there as quick as he could, even if it was a little bit delayed. There's nothing that can really be done about that with just how fast that whole thing went down. Is there?
In the mixed martial arts world, the ref, whose name's escaping me right now, is being hailed. Because he did such a fantastic job. No ref other than him would have been in there as fast as he was.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so he's getting roses thrown at his feet, and I'm one of them. The only thing more astonishing than how fast he was in to have Grasso let go of the choke was how fast Grasso put the choke on her. That was subhuman. And him getting there to pull it off as fast as he did,
he was across the ring
superstar
too.
move.
Yeah, he wasn't right next to her. He was 5 feet away and had to get there.
He did a superstar.
And that's stuff that I don't understand watching it. And just the way it looked like he was late. But like I said, I'm not bashing him at all. I just had that question.
Any other ref wouldn't have been as on top of it, and she could have been really hurt if you're cutting hair off to a gal who's out of it.
Already out. The way he took care of her also, where she was grabbing his legs.
Immediately.
And then he laid her down.
He took her head and cradled her down. Immediately. Dadgummit, well, his name's at the tip of my tongue.
Oh, yeah, I wish
we'll
I
get
had
it as we discuss.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. But, it was an unbelievable KO in this fight. And that's
Grasso. If you saw the punch, it was fast, straight, and all her body was behind it.
Yeah.
Just a straight shot right on the freaking money. And just they teach refs what to look for when a person's knocked out. One is going straight back like a tree. One is dropping straight on your rear, just straight, and that's exactly how she dropped.
Yes.
She was out on their way down.
And what made it look even more brutal was her eyes were just open the whole time.
Laying on the ground.
Yeah, and so normally the eyes will shut in that position, and so she's just laying there with her eyes wide open and all of that stuff. I mean, you got to give the credit. It's brutal. It's very scary. I can understand the people that are, freaking out of the brutality of it. But unbelievable fight if you want to look at it from that, from that perspective.
No
which is
one
what we're
viewing
here to do.
the UFC. Few viewing the UFC are up in arms about that.
Okay.
The few that are up in arms about it just saw the highlights. People watching the UFC are watching the UFC not to watch Goldilocks trickle down the lane to the red wolf. They're looking for violence and bloodshed, and that's what they want to see. They're tuning in exactly for that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people call that the women's fight and the biggest history fight and I haven't been around long enough to know if there's a better
Dana White's
women's
calling
fight.
it an epic knockout, and if he calls it that, it is, and I believe it was.
Yeah.
And Grasso earns herself probably another shot right to Valentina with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, she gets propelled.
One win, and a tie, so they might as well break that up.
Especially now, well, for sure they'll probably want to do that. But with Grasso now, the way that fight ended, I mean, you want to hype that up. If you're from a marketing perspective, you want to hype that up. That this brutality is coming for this next person now coming up, right?
That's why she made $100,000 for that. So now she makes $100,000, and now they want to use her again, and she's gonna go out and try and do the same thing again. Yeah. She got no damage from that fight. She's ready to go.
And that's the thing. Macy Barber for her loss there. I don't think she gets viewed negatively from this fight at all.
She's had a history of weight misses and mental breakdowns before fights, and so she needs some time off, and we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, perfect. And then I was a little worried about the main event, Lou, just because after watching that, I was like, oh, this Pfeiffer and Isaiah fight here coming up. I kind of went on the side of Pfeiffer's probably going to win this fight. A lot of people thought that going into it. I've seen Pfeiffer fight before, but to me, this was a masterclass. Second round of KO for him in this fight as well. The love afterwards between these two fighters, though,
the
respect,
get it. Yeah.
And the respect. I mean, the loser in this fight was like, give this guy all the props. He just beat me tonight after getting just knocked the crap out of him. the love he was giving him was amazing.
Yeah, he's a total professional. He's 36, 37, and now he knows. He didn't know before.
Is it over?
Now he knows that his championship aspirations are over. Annex on the Twitter saying he has another fight in him. Okay, great. Gatekeeper fight. Why should he? He should go. And really what finally pulled us to betting Pfeiffer was the fact that we were seeing these specials on Izzy about doing his record rubbing, and he's a DJ and everything. Listen, he was the champ. He was at the top of the world. He's gone from nothing to silk sheets and private jets. He's living the good life. He's spinning records. He has himself set up for post-fighting. Oh, wait, now he wants to come back and fight some young hammer that looks just like the four guys that just knocked Adesanya out. Doesn't make sense. It took me all week to get to Pfeiffer, but I did finally get to him, and I have to footnote my friend John Crouch at the lab for giving me advice.
Giving you that look out there. Pfeiffer impressed you in this fight for his next one?
Well, he's projected up and gets bigger fights now. Let's see who he fights.
So it'll just depend on the matchup coming up. I liked his style. I liked what he did there as well in that fight. So this week we got the Meta Apex this weekend in Las Vegas. We've seen the Meta fights kind of step up in terms of their fight quality. What I mean by that, folks, is I've recognized some of the fighters on this fight. And usually in the past, Apex fights, I just go, I don't know any of these people. So I do like that aspect of it coming at this weekend. But in terms of the prelim fights here, of course, 5 p.m. our time here in Phoenix, Las Vegas, East Coast, is when the main card starts here. I'll leave it to you to tell us on the prelims of what fights we should be looking at here in the prelims, because that is one area where I don't recognize any of these fighters.
The UFC does an unbelievable job of putting together 42 to 46 fight cards every year out of 52 weeks. And so they basically, with their grit, throw 12 to 14 fights together that many times a year, and it allows me to work. So I'm never critical of their cards, but I will say that this card is the most obscurely populated fight card I've ever worked in the 20 plus years that
That's
I've
nothing
worked the
coming from you.
UFC.
Yeah.
I'm saying obscurely populated, meaning that not everybody's going to know all these names. And I'll even say there's a few of them here that I haven't seen fight a lot. And for that reason, those are fights I watch and make notes on my model with, so I can go back and decide, oh, this guy was too big, he was too small, he did a great job, he's a wrestler, whatever the notes are. And so this card is very, very challenging. The good news is I'm the sniper. And so if I have to make 5 to 8 sniper shots on 13 fights, I'm prepared to do it. But if I only have 1 or 2, then that's okay as well, because I get to choose. This is a fight card that I've made one release already on, and that's on the Sneak Teat podcast. And it may be the only release I make all week, although I may be interested in the main event. We'll have to see. So with that in mind, to answer your question on the undercard, what I'd like to pick out is there's a 185-pound fight between Tresean Gore and a Russian named Bekov. Bekov comes in a huge favorite. He's coming in off a loss. He trains at a world-class gym in Florida, AT&T, and he's the more well-rounded fighter, no question about it. Tresean Gore won the Ultimate Fighter. He fights now here out of Phoenix in the MMA lab. He gets good training. He's a good kid. I've fisted him on numerous occasions and spoken one way with him, meaning I don't let them talk to me. I just say stuff and walk by. He's a good kid, easy to root for, and I want to like him in this fight. But it's an under 1.5. We got to watch that.
Yep.
Gore has struggled against legit UFC competition and above, and legit competition and below he does well in. We're about to find out which one Bekov is. So
really quick, you said it's on the under, because I have on DraftKings I have over 1.5 minus 188.
No, but it's lined 1.5.
Okay,
so
yeah,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, that's a good correction. So it's a 1.5 over under, and if it's lined over, I tend to agree with it, because that guy ain't getting Gore out of there that quickly. Gore's in shape. He's been training with Cannonier. I really want to like him, and at his price, it'll be hard for me not to have a quarter unit on him to somebody else in a parlay where I can win a unit or a unit and a half at a minimal outlay. That's how I like to play it.
He's a 455 dog right now.
Yeah,
Gore
so you
is
parlay
going into this,
him with a guy like that's a minus 200, you're going to get 3.5, 4 to 1. That's what you do, and you turn your $25 into a honey.
Okay, and that's a middleweight. Both those guys look like big boys, man,
Big,
for being a
strong
middleweight,
boys.
yeah.
We're about to find out a lot. Anyway, the rest of those fights, I mean, here, Venata Flowers. Venata we haven't seen since April of 2022. Where the heck's he been? Oh, he's 30. He's 35, by the way. So, what kind of, and we're getting him against a guy named Flowers who hasn't been particularly active as well. So then you got Alejandro Costa against Nikolai. Nikolai from Australia is just there to get KO'd, and Costa is going to do that to him. He's going to dominate this fight. So those undercard fights are, I'll be watching them and making notes. I'll say it like that.
Yeah, that Costa one there, over unders 2.5 minus 130 to the under at 2.5. So they're not expecting it to end in the first 20 seconds, but they're expecting a quick end there for Costa there. Then you got the main card, and I'm not going to lie to you, Lou, until you get to the co-main event. In the main event, I'm pretty much at a loss here, except for I have seen Brenson Ribeiro before. I've seen him fight before. So start at the bottom and tell us anything to pay attention to between the first, 3 or 4 fights here in the main card.
Yeah, brutal. Guilherme Pat, a Brazilian coming in. He's 1-0, and the UFC's got power. He's against Tom Peterson. And Peterson is given Guilherme Pat 6'6", chiseled out of marble, 81-inch reach, got power. He looks the part, no UFC experience. Meanwhile, Tom Peterson looks like your plumber. He comes in with his pants halfway down the back of his rear. 265 pounds, 6'1", doesn't look fast, athletic, or powerful, but he's all three. And he also happens to be 4-3 in the UFC. So he's got good experience. He's been in with better than has Pat. So can the small plumber deal with the large chisel guy. I don't know enough about Pat to be able to make a determination, except that Peterson was a 130 favorite when they opened. Now Pat is what, minus 110 or minus 120?
So Peterson's minus 118, Pat is minus 102.
Okay, so they're still hanging on Peterson a little bit. I believe that to be an accurate depiction of nobody knowing, but Peterson must be the favorite here because of that experience, in my opinion. And the fact he opened 130 and now he's only minus 118, that could be interesting. But I do think Peterson has advantage here because of who he's been in with and his UFC experience.
Yeah, a heavyweight bout, by the way, for you at home. But over-unders 2.5, both of them are minus 115.
Yeah,
over and under.
Yeah, so they don't know any more than I do.
They're going, and so I don't know, Lou. Tell us if there's anything else we should look to before we get to the Ribeiro fight, the Ricci fight, and the Duncan fight.
Yeah. Estevan's a grappler, Ewing's a striker. Okay. Ribeiro and Yakayev. Brenson Ribeiro is. I'm surprised he's still in the UFC. He's not very good. He's wild. He gets KO'd, and he's in against just a 25-year-old Russian maniac. Minus 1,700.
1,650.
And under 1.5 minus like 300.
520, Lou. Yeah, 520.
That's
why I said that one. I just only because I recognize Ribeiro is the only reason I brought that fight up, because the odds obviously.
The only question is a KO or sub that Yakayev gets him in. Anyway, so then you go to co-main event, and you got a good fight here, even though it's ladies 115ers. Tabitha Ricci and Verna Jandiroba. This should be a very interesting fight. I find Ricci, surely she's 6 years younger at 31. She's a beautiful young gal, but she's short and squat and fights where she has to kind of get inside, especially to strike. Most of the girls in her division are larger than her. She probably should be fighting at 105, but the UFC doesn't have a 105 division. But she's a tiger, and she's tenacious and aggressive in her fights, and it only allows her, when she wins, to mostly decision these gals. And she hasn't been in against world-class elite members of her division yet. This is her first foray into that. And Jandiroba, as beautiful and cute as Ricci is, I'd love to introduce her to my son to date him. That's how pretty she is. Jandiroba could scare a bulldog off a meat wagon, unfortunately. She is not blessed with beauty. And I believe when you get handsome man against an unhandsome man, and one guy doesn't have a mark on his face, the other guy has a bunch of marks on his face, you could say, oh, well, the handsome guy's going to have an easy time. No, the guy with the marks on his face has been through war. He's coming for war. The pretty guy going to get cut up here. And that's what happens when pretty and ugly get together. I don't want to say that. That's when attractive and not so attractive get together. I think there's a chip on Jandiroba, despite the fact that she is coming off a championship loss. She fought Mackenzie Dern for the championship in her last fight. Took some time off. She's the older gal. She's the bigger, taller gal. She's going to be the heavier gal. I think she's going to be the gal with advantage on the bounce, coming in off a loss with the world-class experience. I think she holds advantage. She opened minus 190, and now she's what?
Minus 130.
Yeah, and when I released her early in the week on the sneak teep, she was plus 100 or minus 105 maybe, like that. So it's coming back a little bit towards her, and I think that's where it should be. I think she's earned the favorite position in this fight. And in a close, tight decision kind of a fight, I think it'll be determined by Jandiroba's size and her grappling, and that's how we'll get to a Jandiroba decision.
Over-unders, I love when the numbers get big on the over. Over 2.5, minus 445.
So which gals win in the decision? Yeah. That's one of my favorite bets, and now they've caught up to me, but that's when you take fight goes to majority or split decision, because you know they're close competitors. It's going to decision. They're telling you that on the total. You might as well try and get a price on some judge having his head in his rear, because all three of them usually do.
Then we got the main event here. Chris Duncan coming off of a win for him, and if I remember correctly, kind of an improbable win as well. If I could be wrong on that, but I do remember being impressed with his last fight in the main card here against Moicano. I'm going to say it that way, from Brazil. Here, a lightweight bout to finish this fight here coming up.
Yeah, Moicano reinvented himself personality-wise, started a podcast, hit lightning in a bottle, created a bunch of hype, won a few fights in a row, and ended up getting a championship spot against Makhachev. And he did it all by himself because he was one of the first UFC people to understand the Ronda Rousey principle of it doesn't matter how you fight, it matters how you talk and who you can bring and put in seats. And Manny Moicano, the personality he came up with is colorful and fun. And while he was winning, he just moved straight up the ranks until Makhachev wiped the floor with him. And then in the fight afterwards, an old Beneil Dariush beat him. And so we're wondering about whether Moicano still has it or not. I question whether he does at 36 years old, fighting out of Florida's AT&T. And who's he fighting? Chris Duncan, a Scottish fighter, brawler, well-rounded, big power in his hands, decent grappler, and he fights from Florida's AT&T. So these guys have trained together, sat in the steam room together. They know one another. In one, I think not the last fight for Duncan, but 2 fights ago, or the last fight, he fought a guy named Rebecki from Poland, also from AT&T, fought a guy in his gym. And these 2 dudes stood toe-to-toe and beat the bloody brakes out of each other. Both of them all busted up and bleeding and stitched up. And so I expect this kind of a fight, except for Moicano can't get in a stand-up war with Duncan because he doesn't have the power or the grit. He needs to try and lure Duncan, if he can, to be wild and come in so that Moicano can get a hold of him and try and grapple him, trip him, get him to the floor where the world and the advantage on the floor will be Moicano's. And so where this fight takes place will go a long way in determining how it's set. Moicano opened like a -220 favorite. Now he's plus
145.
Now 145. So the money like come all the way in on Duncan. And so both of these guys train in Florida. And they train in the same gym, and the line comes out and it moves aggressively to Duncan immediately. I almost wonder if somebody in Florida knows too much, meaning the people in the gym have watched what's happened here and know what's going to happen. To me, I definitely think that if it stays standing, Duncan's going to hurt Moicano, and Moicano's last 2 showings haven't been great. And he's not a strong physical striker at all. He's more like a kind of a soft, squirrely submission artist. So he could find trouble against Duncan if he can't wrap him up. And so I tend to lean to Duncan here.
Well, here's the other side of it. What you just made, the point you just made, over under on this is 2.5. Under 2.5's -140 as well. I don't know what that line opened at. But I'm assuming there's going to be a big movement in that line as well at the favorite.
It opened 2.5 over -160.
Yeah, so that tells me, yeah, I agree with you. There's people in the know.
They think that
something.
Yeah, because that line move on the total tells me that Duncan's going to touch him.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
I mean, the other way to look at it, when they're dry, Moicano gets a hold of him. Now, Duncan has been subbed, and he was subbed by Miguel Torres in a fight, and Torres is a big, strong striker. He's a very good submission artist, but he got him early. So there's a compelling story to this.
Well,
fight.
That's why I wanted to ask you. I mean, Duncan, if I remember correctly, can also wrestle a little bit. He his last fight, by the way, was Terrence McKinney, and he submissioned him 2:30 into the first round in that fight. Then, like you said, the one before was the brutal toe-to-toe fighting type fight. So Chris Duncan, at least what I'm seeing, he can get down on the mat with you, and he can also sit there and strike with you in this fight.
Yeah, but Terrence McKinney is not Renato Moicano.
Okay, so there's because we just saw McKinney fight. So.
Difference. He doesn't want to be on the ground with Moicano. If he finds himself there, he'll use his wrestling to get the hell out of there.
Okay. Well, because I only bring that up is we just saw McKinney recently as well.
No, yeah, McKinney either wins in the first round with his power and explosivity, or he loses because he runs out of juice.
So, Duncan, that big line movements there on that fight coming up as well. Lou, anything else on the UFC side you want to You want to throw in there? I saw we added a fight in UFC, whatever UFC numbered events coming up. We added a fight.
We added a fight this week. There's a new fight that I should a Kai.
Yeah, that pictures are all messed up here.
Kai Kamaka, I want to say, is a Hawaiian fighter that was in the UFC, left and came back, and they're
Dakota
giving him, they're giving him some debut. Or Kai's going to win that fight.
Yeah, Dakota Hope. Those you
is
can always
there a
tell.
line on that?
Let me see if there is now, because like you said, that was added. I can always tell by the pictures when things are added.
I mean, Kai's going to be minus 280.
It's going to be that. So they're just bringing him in. There's only money line on this, minus 148 for Kai right now. Dakota's plus 124.
So Dakota's hyped. Okay. Well, I lean to the guy coming back to the UFC.
Dakota, you said it's his first UFC fight. Is he coming off?
Yeah, he's like 10-1. He's a young kid coming up, but
So
obviously he's got the goods if they're letting him in, or at least fringe goods.
Giving him the first fight of the night, it looks like, as well. So lightweight bout for that as well. So. Then, Lou, appreciate you always coming in and everything. Just to give everybody a preview, after this weekend, we've got Miami, Florida coming up next weekend as well. Oberg.
That's a numbered event.
Prochaska, 327.
That's Olberg from Australia and Prochaska, the
that's a light heavyweight
warrior
main event.
He's from
Czechia or something like that.
Czechoslovakia.
Something like that. Yeah, he's the one that always had the ponytail, right?
He's a nutball.
Yeah.
He's a nutball.
I recognize his picture, but he doesn't have his little whatever you call those man buns or what. But Joshua Van's in this fight coming up also.
Joshua Van's fighting a guy named Tyra, and Joshua Van, the champ, is an underdog in the fight.
Remind me on this, Curtis Blades. Is he from Phoenix, or am I confusing him?
No, he fights out of Denver.
Okay, but he's a heavyweight guy that we've seen fight a lot.
Oh yes,
Hokit,
wrestling based.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering.
And they gave him who?
Hokit, Josh Hokit.
Hokit knockout artist, and Blades is chinny. So Hokit by knockout or Blades by submission, because Blades is big, strong, and a world-class wrestler.
We got Patricio Pitbull back in this one here as well against Aaron Pico. Just get everybody. Gamrot is back in this one.
Who's
like
he
I said,
fighting?
these are all guys. Which one? Gamrot?
Yeah.
Ribovics.
Oh, wow, what a fight
Argentina?
that'll be.
A lightweight
that's
fight?
a grappler against a striker. That'll be great. A
Really?
Polish fighter against a guy from like Uruguay or something. Oh, that'll be.
I know you make fun of me a lot for this, but I love her name, Lupe Godinez here.
Lupe Godinez.
Godinez, the women's strawweight.
Who she got?
She's got Tatiana Suarez.
Oh, that'll be a good fight. But Tatiana Suarez towers over her. They're both wrestling-based fighters. That's a handful for Lupe.
Really? Okay, yeah. Because I know I always bring up Lupe because I love her name. There's a couple of female fighters I love.
We're in the heart
so.
of Azteca down here.
Yeah,
so
Mexican fighters.
Those names are common here.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are just some previews for the UFC fight next week. For those of you that look at this card like I do and go, who? I'll still have it on though. I'm not going to be watching the U of A game, but I'll still have it on this weekend and see what we find this weekend. But Lou, as always, appreciate you joining us. Good luck to your Wildcats on Saturday night, man. I'm rooting for them.
Go Cats.
I'm not too sure, but I'm still rooting for them. Everybody else, McCollum on Business is off tomorrow because of the Good Friday holiday. But the main event will be here 8 to 10 a.m. Pit Stop will be posted here by 2 o'clock here today for you racing fans as well. Kind of a limited weekend coming up with the Easter holiday as well in the racing circles. But join us there at the Pit Stop. For everybody else, we'll see you later. Have a great Thursday night, everybody.